I went to the university with my small little book. It was called Islamic Terminology. So it was written like in English, like for example, salah or whatever, istighfar and these kind of things. So, or salah, I mean, and sawm. And I took that book because I wanted to learn these terminologies, these Islamic terminologies. So I found a man about 2 meters. Of course, I'm from Belgium. I say meters. I don't know how long that is. So it was 2 meters. That's this much bigger than I am, from Nigeria. And he was like really dressed very well and so forth. And I sat down in front of him and started reading from my little book. I didn't know anything about Islam. Just I had a book and I wanted to share what I was reading. So terminology of Islam. And I had a little book about the grave. So I started reading it. This man was always with tears in his eyes. He said, yes, subhanallah, Allahu Akbar, this and that. So I went to my room on a certain day and I opened the cupboard. I was sleeping in the same room with 10 other Nigerian brothers. And a journal fell down. And on the first page of that journal, who do you think that I saw? The picture of the guy whose name was Muhammad Mahmoud. And I say, hey, I know this guy. And he said, oh, do you? I said, yeah, he's my student. Student? I didn't know anything about Islam. I said, yeah, I teach him in the mosque with my book. And they said, astaghfirullah. I started looking, what does astaghfirullah mean? You know, like in my terminology book, astaghfirullah. I said, why should I say astaghfirullah? I said, it's true, I teach him. And then they said, look at the picture. And I looked again at the picture and I saw like hundreds of people standing around that man while he was speaking behind the mic. And I said, who is he? And they said, he's the biggest da'iyah of North Nigeria. Can you imagine? They said he's one of the greatest du'at of that particular part of Nigeria. He said he has a PhD in tafsir, a PhD in usul al-fiqh, Islamic history, and he's the replacer of the imam and khatib of the biggest mosque in the capital of Sudan. Then I felt embarrassed. And I went back to the man and I said like, you know, I'm very sorry, I didn't know. He said, you didn't know what? I said, no, I was teaching you and you were not correcting me, you were not telling me who you were. And he said, because that is because we accept the haqq from whoever it comes as long as it is haqq. You were telling the truth and the truth is higher than me. The truth is higher than my ego. So I was just listening to the truth you were telling. And I said, but then why, here comes the, you know, the nice part. I said, then why when I asked you, what do you know from the Quran? Because I was happy. You know, at that time, I knew from Surah إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا up to Nas. And I thought that I ruled the world. You know, like 10, 12 surahs. So I went back. And I said, then why were you hiding? I thought you, because when I asked you, how much do you know of the Quran? He said, أَنَا أَحْفَظُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا عَلَّمَهُ اللَّهُ مَا عَلَّمَنِ اللَّهُ. Yani, I memorized from the Quran that what Allah has taught me. So I thought it was a way for him to disguise, you know, that he actually didn't know anything. But then he said, I actually memorized all the Quran. I said, then why didn't you tell me? He said, because it's not important. That what is important is not what we know, it is that what we practice. Because do you know that the first people with whom hellfire will be enlightened is whom? Are the ulama, like in Sahih al-Bukhari, narrated through Muawiyah, through Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that the first one to be thrown into hellfire are the scholars, subhanallah. And then it's because they didn't acquire their knowledge because of Allah Jalla wa ala.